I need what you need. You need what I need.
And I had a lot of love, and I know you had a lot of love.
The O'Jays, a powerhouse of R&B, have captivated audiences worldwide for decades with their iconic anthems like Love Train and For the Love of Money, solidifying their place as legends in music history. But did you know that their personal lives were far from as smooth as the melodies they're famous for? Their story begins in Canton, Ohio, where Eddie Levert, Walter Williams, William Powell, Bobby Massey, and Bill Iles came together in 1958 to form a doo-wop group. Just teenagers at the time, they were bursting with ambition and raw talent. Back then, they weren't known as the O'Jays. Their initial name was the Triumphs, which they later changed to the Mascots. It wasn't until a Cleveland-based DJ named Eddie O.J. took them under his wing that they adopted the name that would go down in history. We didn't have a name that felt right, they admitted. Eddie O.J. not only inspired their iconic title, but also supported their first song, helping them take their initial steps toward stardom. In those early years, the group faced unrelenting challenges. They struggled to discover their unique sound and carve a place in the highly competitive music industry. Most of their time was spent performing cover songs at small, often overlooked venues, hustling tirelessly for any chance to make an impression. Their first real opportunity came when they signed with King Records in the early 1960s. While tracks like Lonely Drifter showed promise, they didn't achieve the breakthrough the group desperately sought. The constant grind and lack of major success began to take its toll. Eventually, Bobby Massey and Bill Iles decided to part ways, unable to withstand the uncertainty and hardships of life as struggling musicians. Their departures left Eddie Levert, Walter Williams, and William Powell as a trio, a configuration that would become the defining lineup of the O'Jays for years to come. Eddie Levert, Walter Williams, and William Powell formed the trio that would become the very foundation of the O'Jays, defining the group's legacy for decades to come. Yet even with a streamlined lineup, their journey was anything but smooth. By the late 1960s, the group was still searching for the breakthrough that would transform their careers. Little did they know, a life-changing moment was on the horizon. In 1972, their relocation to Philadelphia became a turning point. There, they joined forces with the now legendary production duo, Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, the visionaries behind the iconic Philadelphia soul sound. Their first collaboration, Backstabbers, catapulted the O'Jays to fame. Almost overnight, they transformed from struggling artists into R&B powerhouses. Tracks like Love Train and For the Love of Money not only dominated the charts, but also etched their names into music history forever. But with success came unimaginable challenges. The relentless pace of stardom began to take its toll, and not all members were equipped to handle the demands of fame. Behind the triumphant anthems and glowing accolades lay a shadow of heartbreak and loss. For the O'Jays, the most devastating blow came with the decline and eventual loss of William Powell, a founding member who had stood shoulder to shoulder with Eddie and Walter from the very beginning. Powell's health began to falter in the mid-1970s, just as the group was riding high on the success of Love Train and Backstabbers. While he was living out his dreams on stage, an unseen battle was raging within. Powell began to experience unrelenting fatigue, persistent weakness, and a growing pain that could no longer be ignored. The diagnosis was shattering: cancer. At just 35 years old, Powell was faced with a grim reality. In an era when cancer treatments were limited and grueling, the prognosis was heartbreaking not only for Powell, but also for Eddie and Walter, who had shared every step of his journey, from their earliest struggles in Canton, Ohio, to their triumphant rise to fame. Despite his diagnosis, Powell's determination never wavered. He continued to perform as long as his body would allow, refusing to let the disease steal his passion. But by 1976, the toll on his health had become insurmountable. Powell made the gut-wrenching decision to step away from the O'Jays, leaving behind a legacy that would forever remain a cornerstone of their sound. Sammy Strain joined the group, But Powell's absence left a profound void, both in their music and in their hearts. During his final months, Powell was surrounded by love and support from his family. Tragically, on May 26, 1977, he passed away at the age of 35 after a courageous 2-year battle with colon cancer. His death sent shockwaves through the music world. As one of the architects of the OJ's signature sound, Powell had been a driving force behind their meteoric rise. His loss was not just personal, it was monumental. The challenges didn't stop there. Both Eddie Levert and Walter Williams would face significant health battles of their own in the years that followed. For Walter, the turning point came in 2009 when he began experiencing chronic pain and a series of unexplained symptoms. At first, like many performers, he dismissed them as minor inconveniences, just the wear and tear of years spent on the road. But the symptoms refused to fade, signaling something far more serious. Walter's journey with his health became a testament to his resilience and determination, much like Powell's had been before him. Yet the strain of these struggles only underscored the incredible strength of the OJs, their ability to endure, adapt, and continue to create music that resonates with generations. As Walter Williams's symptoms persisted, it became heartbreakingly clear that his condition was far more serious than he initially thought. Doctors diagnosed him with spinal stenosis, a debilitating condition where the spaces within the spine narrow, compressing the nerves. For someone like Walter, whose life revolved around high-energy performances and constant movement, this diagnosis was nothing short of devastating. Spinal stenosis can cause unrelenting pain, numbness, and weakness, with the potential to rob someone of their mobility. For Walter, it was a cruel twist of fate that threatened not just his career, but his very way of life. Despite exploring numerous treatments, including steroids, nothing provided lasting relief. By 2010, after years of pushing through the pain, Walter made the agonizing decision to step away from the stage to focus on his health. For a man who had been a cornerstone of the OJs for decades, this wasn't an easy choice. His absence left a noticeable gap in their performances, but Walter knew he had to prioritize his well-being. The band, ever supportive, stood by his side, knowing that his health was more important than any show. Walter's recovery journey was grueling and fraught with setbacks. Physical therapy sessions became his new stage, as he worked tirelessly with specialists to strengthen his back and regain mobility. There were moments when the pain seemed insurmountable, a constant reminder of the challenges he faced. Yet Walter's unwavering determination and mental toughness became his greatest allies. "I've been able to live a normal, healthy life because of the right mindset," he later shared, reflecting on his journey. His faith, along with the unshakable support of his family, friends, and fans, became his guiding light. After 2 years of rest and rehabilitation, Walter made a triumphant return to the stage in 2012. Though his initial performances lacked the vigor of his earlier years, his resilience shone through. Gradually, he regained his strength, once again captivating audiences with his soulful voice and enduring presence. While Walter fought physical battles, Eddie Levert endured emotional ones that tested the very core of his spirit. The heartache began with the loss of his eldest son, Gerald Levert, in 2006. Gerald wasn't just Eddie's son, he was a musical force in his own right. With a voice that could move listeners to tears, Gerald built a successful solo career and gained fame as a member of the group Levert, alongside his brother Sean and childhood friend Mark Gordon. Hits like Casanova and Baby Hold On to Me, a duet with Eddie, showcased his immense talent and charisma. But behind Gerald's radiant charm and success lay struggles with chronic pain and insomnia. On November 10, 2006, tragedy struck when Gerald passed away unexpectedly at just 40 years old. A lethal mix of prescription medications and over-the-counter drugs claimed his life, leaving Eddie shattered. Losing Gerald was like losing a part of himself. Their bond went far beyond that of father and son. They were collaborators, confidants, and best friends. The void left by Gerald's death was one that nothing could ever fill. As Eddie struggled to cope with Gerald's loss, another devastating blow came just 2 years later. In 2008, Eddie's younger son, Sean Levert, passed away at 39 years old under deeply tragic circumstances. Sean, like Gerald, had built a career in music and was a key member of Levert. However, his untimely death was surrounded by controversy. While serving a 22-month sentence for unpaid child support in a Cleveland jail, Sean began exhibiting alarming behavior, reportedly screaming and banging on his cell door. Despite his deteriorating condition, proper medical care wasn't administered in time. Sean was rushed to a hospital, but it was too late. He passed away with complications from sarcoidosis, an inflammatory disease exacerbated by withdrawal from prescribed anxiety medication listed as the cause. The loss of both sons in such a short span of time was a crushing weight for Eddie, one that profoundly altered his perspective on life. It's like reopening an old wound. The pain comes rushing back, and it never really goes away, Eddie would later say. These tragedies reshaped him, leaving an ache that time could never heal. Yet Eddie chose to honor Gerald and Sean by keeping their memories alive through his music, his faith, and the love he shared with his family and fans. Walter's recovery and Eddie's resilience are testaments to the indomitable spirit of the OJs. Through personal heartbreaks and physical struggles, they have shown an unwavering ability to endure and inspire. Their stories remind us that behind every legendary song lies a depth of perseverance and humanity that continues to resonate with fans around the world. For Eddie Levert, the heartbreak of losing his son Sean so soon after Gerald was nearly unbearable. To lose not one, but both of his sons, his pride, his legacy, his heart, within just a few years was a devastating blow that tested his faith and resilience in ways he could have never imagined. Eddie has often spoken about how these profound losses forever changed him. Music and spirituality became his refuge, anchoring him as he navigated his grief. "It still hurts, man," Eddie reflected. "It's like reopening an old wound. The pain rushes back, and it never truly goes away." But despite this enduring pain, Eddie found ways to honor Gerald and Sean, keeping their memories alive on stage and in his everyday life. The OJs, like many legendary artists, faced not only personal tragedies, but also the relentless challenges of fame and an often unforgiving music industry. Beneath the glittering facade of success lay battles with unfair contracts, financial exploitation, and industry pressures. These struggles were as fierce as the ones they faced on stage. Their early financial difficulties were rooted in their initial recording contracts in the 1960s and 1970s. The music industry of that era was notorious for taking advantage of artists, and the OJs were no exception. Signing with King Records provided them with a platform to release music, but the financial terms were far from fair. Despite delivering chart-topping hits and selling out venues, the group saw little of the revenue their hard work generated. This inequity forced them to reevaluate their position and eventually cut ties with King Records. Breaking free from such a constraining contract was no small feat, requiring persistence, courage, and an unshakable belief in their worth. In 1972, the OJs took a bold step that would redefine their career, signing with Philadelphia International Records. This partnership marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with commercial success and creative breakthroughs. Under the guidance of Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, architects of the Philly soul sound, the OJs flourished. Yet even in this new chapter, financial hurdles persisted. Complex contracts and disputes over royalties often left the group navigating murky waters, fighting to secure what was rightfully theirs. As their fame grew, so did the complications. By the 1980s and 1990s, the OJs were embroiled in a series of legal battles concerning royalties and ownership of their music. The rise of music videos and digital streaming further complicated issues of intellectual property. While their music reached new audiences behind the scenes, the OJs faced a labyrinth of publishing rights, licensing fees, and legal challenges. But it wasn't just industry contracts that caused stress. Personal financial pressures also weighed heavily. Eddie Levert, for instance, found himself juggling the demands of managing wealth, supporting his family, and dealing with the pitfalls of fame. With substantial earnings came the risk of financial mismanagement, especially in an era when many artists lacked the resources or education to properly manage their wealth. For the OJs, these challenges were compounded by unscrupulous business partners. At one point, the group found themselves in a legal dispute with a former manager they believed had exploited their earnings. This realization that the industry was rife with opportunists was a harsh but transformative lesson. Despite these challenges, the OJ's commitment to their music and their fans never wavered. They were determined to stay true to their soulful roots, even as the music industry rapidly evolved. The 1980s brought the rise of disco, hip-hop, and other emerging genres, forcing the OJ's to balance their signature sound with the demands of a changing musical landscape. Known for their smooth ballads and funk-infused tracks, they faced a pivotal decision: remain steadfast in their traditional style or embrace contemporary trends. Ultimately, the OJ's struck a delicate balance. They continued to produce the soulful ballads that resonated with their core audience while cautiously experimenting with modern sounds. Albums from the 1980s and 1990s, like When Will I See You Again and Love Train, the best of the OJ's, reflected this dual approach. However, these efforts didn't always connect with fans in the same way their earlier hits had. The pressure from record labels and promoters to deliver more singles, albums, and tours added to the strain. Through it all, the OJ's remained resolute in their artistic integrity. They chose authenticity over fleeting trends, even when it meant taking risks. Their ability to balance creativity with commercial demands is a testament to their resilience and unwavering dedication to their craft. Eddie's personal tragedies and the group's collective struggles shaped their journey, yet they never lost sight of their purpose. They turned their pain, challenges, and triumphs into music that continues to resonate across generations. The legacy of the OJ's is not only defined by their iconic hits, but also by their perseverance in the face of adversity. From the streets of Canton, Ohio, to the global stage, their story is one of courage, resilience, and an unshakable commitment to their music and their fans. The OJ's funk-infused tracks were unmistakable, but a lingering question followed them. How could they evolve with the times without losing the essence of what made them great? This challenge weighed heavily on Walter Williams. As one of the group's leading vocalists alongside Eddie Levert, Walter found himself torn between his artistic vision and the pressure to adapt to an industry increasingly leaning towards synthesized sounds in the 1980s. The group faced a pivotal decision: stay true to their signature, soulful style, or embrace the modern trends dominating the charts. Their solution was a blend of both. They continued delivering heartfelt ballads while cautiously exploring contemporary influences. Albums like When Will I See You Again and Love Train, the best of the OJ's, reflected this balancing act, combining familiar elements with fresh ideas. Yet these newer sounds didn't always resonate with fans as powerfully as their earlier hits. At the same time, the band faced mounting pressure from record labels, managers, and promoters to produce more singles, albums, and tours, all while competition in the music market intensified. Through these challenges, the OJ's held firm in their refusal to compromise their artistry for fleeting trends. Staying grounded in their roots, even at the risk of falling out of step with the times, defined their approach. Balancing creative integrity with the demands of the business was a constant tightrope walk, one that left the group emotionally and physically drained. As Walter once said, "If you recorded in Philadelphia, it's going to sound like Philly. It's part of who we are." Yet as the 1990s ushered in genres like hip-hop, pop, and boy bands, the pressure to evolve while maintaining their identity grew even more intense. Despite these challenges, the OJ's endured by remaining authentic. They delivered music that spoke to the soul, transcending trends and establishing themselves as timeless artists. Their ability to persevere is even more remarkable when considering the trials they faced over decades. From financial mismanagement to the relentless push to stay relevant, they weathered storms that would have broken many others. Their journey wasn't without hardship. Early in their career, the OJ's battled the injustices of an industry notorious for exploiting artists. Despite delivering hits and packing venues, their initial contracts left them with little to show for their hard work. Albums like Backstabbers, 1972, and Ship Ahoy, 1973, didn't just achieve commercial success, they defined an era. Tracks like Love Train, For the Love of Money, and Backstabbers transcended time, capturing the spirit of a society in flux. These anthems were more than music. They were part of a movement, born from the same resilience and determination that defined the OJs as a group. Their ability to maintain unity and strength through personal and professional challenges is a testament to their legacy. They could have walked away many times, but the OJs understood that their music was bigger than their struggles. They felt a duty to their fans, their art, and the generations they inspired. When discussing the OJs' legacy, it's impossible to separate their music from their broader impact. While their sound alone could have cemented their place in history, their contributions extended far beyond. They were pioneers, shaping the Philadelphia soul genre with their seamless blend of smooth melodies and socially conscious lyrics. Tackling themes like injustice, betrayal, and love, their music stood out for its depth and message. As their career progressed, the OJs became instrumental in shaping funk, pushing the boundaries of R&B with their tight rhythms, dynamic brass, and soaring vocals. Their fearless experimentation paved the way for countless artists across genres. Beyond their musical innovation, the OJs broke barriers for Black artists, helping to open doors in mainstream media. Their success in the charts symbolized the growing recognition of Black artistry in the 1970s and 1980s. Their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2005 was a long overdue acknowledgement of their monumental contributions to music. This honor solidified their place among America's greatest artists, but their true legacy lies in the lives they've touched. Musicians, fans, and artists across generations continue to cite the OJs as a profound influence. Their songs have been sampled, covered, and celebrated, resonating in clubs, on radio waves, and at parties worldwide. As the music industry evolves, the OJs remain a beacon of what soul and R&B can achieve. Their timeless sound serves as a reminder of the power of authenticity, resilience, and artistry. Few have endured as they have, and even fewer have left such an indelible mark. The OJ's story is one of courage, creativity, and an unshakable commitment to their craft, a legacy that continues to inspire with every note.